What is wrong with this team? Everything. I don't know what is wrong. Like, it just never.
Lin Dunn didn't just casually criticize Stephanie White, she went full throttle, metaphorically flooring the gas and hurling that criticism straight at her without hesitation or remorse. It was less of a throw under the bus and more of a missile strike, and now Indiana Fever fans are losing their minds. The front office drama that's erupting in Indiana isn't just your average sports tension, it's spiraling into something much more severe, something that could have lasting consequences. This internal clash has officially escalated into a whole new level of organizational meltdown, and whether fans like it or not, it could directly impact Caitlin Clark's development and future with the franchise. This isn't just some surface-level squabble, it raises serious questions about how the WNBA treats its marquee players and the power dynamics behind the scenes. Are front office politics interfering with coaching decisions involving generational talent? Is Stephanie White being set up to fail, or is she truly in over her head? And more importantly, do you think White deserves to be let go, or does she need more time to course correct? Sound off in the comments, we want to hear from you.
I'll say it, fire Stephanie White. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Let's stop pretending this situation is under control. What we're witnessing in Indiana is a full-on organizational disaster. The entire Fever franchise looks like it's being run from the center ring of a three-act circus, and every new development only adds to the absurdity. Today, we're unpacking every detail of what can only be described as a high-stakes soap opera with real-world implications. Lin Dunn didn't just voice her displeasure, she went scorched earth, unleashing her thoughts publicly on social media in a way rarely seen from league veterans. And when respected executives start airing their dirty laundry for the world to see, it's no longer whispers in the hallway, it's a five-alarm inferno that suggests deep dysfunction at the heart of the organization. This isn't smoke. It's not even sparks. It's an open flame fueled by miscommunication, mistrust, and possibly a brewing power struggle behind the scenes.
Lin Dunn posting, and this is again the former like GM of the Fever, who's now something to do with the Fever. I don't know what her role is. She goes, don't expect the players to do it if you don't.
To truly grasp how chaotic things have gotten, we need to rewind and remind ourselves what this season was supposed to look like. The Indiana Fever walked into the year with bold ambitions, constructing a roster that looked, on paper, like a championship contender in the making. They signed seasoned veterans with playoff experience, Natasha Howard, Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Colson, players who've been through battles and were expected to mentor the younger talent. It was like they were drafting their own version of the Avengers, a super squad ready to storm the league. But what was advertised as a powerhouse quickly morphed into something far messier. Instead of cohesion, we've gotten confusion. Instead of strategy, we've seen chaos. The product on the court is so disjointed it feels more like a daycare art project than a polished basketball team. And here's the kicker, this isn't just about losses piling up in the standings. The deeper issue is how Caitlin Clark, the most electrifying offensive force to enter the league in years, is being used, or more accurately, misused. She didn't just captivate fans at Iowa, she shattered records and became a cultural phenomenon. And yet, here she is, being stripped of her game-changing abilities and forced into a rigid, outdated offensive scheme that's suffocating her potential and boring half the fanbase to tears.
I mean, this offense looked awful, and Sydney Colson, my God, is terrible running point guard on this team. Terrible.
And let's talk about the elephant in the room, Sydney Colson. She's currently running point for the Fever, and to be blunt, it's been a disaster. Absolutely terrible. Her floor leadership isn't elevating the team, it's anchoring it. Now, if you've been lucky enough not to sit through an entire game of this so-called motion offense, let me break it down for you. Imagine a group of players endlessly passing the ball around in circles, like a glorified game of hot potato, hoping someone magically becomes open. There's no creativity, no dynamism, no freedom. It's like trying to play jazz with a metronome strapped to your forehead. And when you've got someone like Clark, someone whose very game is built on instinct, rhythm, and uncontainable energy, forcing her into the system isn't just a tactical error. It's sabotage. That's not hyperbole. It's like owning a Lamborghini and deciding to keep it in first gear every time you take it out. Why buy a high-performance machine if you're never going to let it rip?
They had 0 fast break points. 0 fast break points on the game. 0. 0 fast break points. I don't care what this score ends up.
Just think back to what Clark did at Iowa. She was the offense. She called the shots, directed traffic, and made magic happen in real time. The system was built around her strengths, fast-paced, high IQ basketball that left defenders scrambling and fans screaming. Even recently, in that huge win over the Liberty, she accounted for a staggering 54 points between her own buckets and assists. That's what happens when you trust her to lead. But under Stephanie White's direction, she's being shackled to a system that dulls her brilliance. It's as if White is determined to prove her scheme matters more than the generational talent running it. Then came the breaking point. Lin Dunn, who once served as the Fever's general manager and is now awkwardly floating in a vague senior advisor role, decided she'd seen enough. She took to social media and posted a statement that, on the surface, seemed benign, something about how coaches shouldn't expect players to perform tasks that aren't practiced. But don't let the tone fool you, it was drenched in shade. Anyone with a pulse could read between the lines. That message was aimed directly at White, and it landed like a punch to the gut. When a former GM goes public like that, the internal unity is gone. What's left is a fractured leadership team, a frustrated fan base, and a superstar being held back by a system too rigid to adapt.
White is getting destroyed today. Ken Swift posted this, a picture of what's supposed to be Christie's side.
What made Lin Dunn's comments so explosive wasn't just what she said, it was when she said it and why. Her sharp critique came on the heels of yet another humiliating defeat for the Fever, a game where the offense looked completely rudderless, like a ship adrift in a storm with no captain. The players were disorganized, communication was non-existent, and Caitlin Clark? She looked visibly frustrated, throwing up her hands, shaking her head, and clearly losing faith in the system around her. Meanwhile, the fans in attendance were one bad possession away from open revolt. If looks could talk, theirs were shouting, "Do something." Then boom, Dunn's social media post dropped like a grenade. This wasn't vague criticism, it was a masterclass in tactical shade. She essentially laid out, play by play, everything wrong with Stephanie White's coaching philosophy and decision-making, and she did it publicly for everyone to see. The fan base? They didn't just co-sign it, they roared in agreement. One comment summed it up best: the fans are turning on Stephanie White fast. These aren't random spectators flipping channels, these are die-hard supporters who've endured season after season of mediocrity. If they're done with her this early, that's not a red flag, it's a neon sign flashing, we've seen enough.
Like, they were embarrassingly bad without Caitlin Clark. They were just embarrassingly bad. And I mean this, a good coach will figure something out. A good coach will figure something out. Does this team play defense? No. No. I mean this team doesn't play defense. They've just gotten lucky. Teams miss shots. They've gotten lucky, teams miss shots. They don't play defense. They still don't play defense. I know they held the Mystics to 83 points. This was a Mystics team who were not shooting well. They don't play defense. They don't defensive rebound. They don't put in any effort. And that's on code. That is on the code.
What makes this entire situation even more infuriating for fans and analysts alike is how preventable it all was. This wasn't some unforeseen disaster. People were waving red flags months ago. Analysts warned that shoehorning Caitlin Clark, an improvisational genius with unlimited range, into a rigid, archaic system like the motion offense was a recipe for stagnation, not success. They didn't just hint at the danger, they outright pleaded with the coaching staff to build the team around her. But Stephanie White clearly believed she had the blueprint and ignored every warning sign. Now we're watching that decision unravel in real time. And here's the twist that'll have your blood boiling: White recently got fined by the league for publicly criticizing the referees. But here's a thought: maybe she should spend less time dissecting calls and more time revising her playbook. Because this team's real issue isn't officiating. It's the fact that they're systematically misusing one of the greatest offensive weapons in modern basketball. Let's throw some numbers on the fire. When Clark is on the floor, Indiana's offensive rating is 107.5. When she's off, it craters to 82.2. That's a staggering 25-point swing. We're not talking about a minor dip, that's a complete offensive collapse.
Sorry, there is no way you can have 0 fast break points a team unless you are actively trying to not run. Unless you are trying to not run. You cannot have 0 fast break points as a team. Someone just said it, no defense, no offense, no fight. Outside of Lexi Hull and Aaliyah, or not even, I can't even blame Aaliyah Boston.
This motion offense that's being clung to like a security blanket? It's being pitched as a system designed to promote flow, rhythm, and instinctual reactions. But in execution, it's doing the exact opposite. Instead of sparking movement, it stifles creativity. Instead of unleashing playmakers, it shackles them. And when you've got Caitlin Clark, a player who sees the court like a chess master, calculating 10 moves ahead before the defense even reacts, boxing her into lateral passes and off-ball decoys is not just inefficient, it's absurd. They've taken a woman with vision, range, and flair, and turned her into a glorified swing passer. You don't sign Stephen Curry and tell him to shoot layups. So why is Clark being boxed in, forced to dimmer light when it should be shining brightest? She's not just a great rookie, she's already altered the trajectory of the entire WNBA. Back-to-back NCAA title runs, broken scoring records, sold-out arenas, and now a likely first-team All-WNBA selection as a rookie. This is not a player you rein in. This is a player you release and let redefine what's possible.
The Fever got rid of her, and the Fever got rid of her coach. They got rid of her, and they got rid of her coach. They got rid of exactly what she wanted to do. And you know what? I hate saying this. Lin Dunn was probably right when she said it should be a 5-year plan to improve. That the plan to improve should be a 5-year thing.
And here's the final gut punch, the warning isn't coming from some disgruntled outsider or online troll. It's coming from Lin Dunn, the very architect behind the Indiana Fever's only championship. She wasn't just along for the ride, she was the head coach who led the team to WNBA glory back in 2012. She knows what championship culture looks like. She's built it. So when she speaks up, it's not noise, it's an alarm bell you ignore at your peril. If someone with her resume is raising the alarm about coaching strategy, team direction, and leadership failure, it's not gossip, it's gospel. Just look around the league. Championship contenders like Las Vegas with Aya Wilson and New York with Sabrina Ionescu build around their superstars. They don't try to neutralize their strengths to preserve some rigid system. They mold the offense to amplify greatness. They lean into what makes their players elite. That's how you win. The Fever, meanwhile, seem committed to a system that minimizes their best players' impact. It's not just ineffective, it's philosophical malpractice.
Actually think that she was right in saying that. She was 100% right, and they fired her to quick fix it. Which is, a little bit disappointing. It is a little bit disappointing.
At the start of the season, the Indiana Fever made it clear they weren't just playing for growth, they were gunning for a title. Championship aspirations were printed on every locker room wall, echoed in every preseason interview. Caitlin Clark herself stated the goal was simple: we want a ring. But how can you possibly chase glory if you're too afraid to unleash your most lethal weapon? This feels like entering the Indy 500 in a Ferrari and then taping a no speeding sign to the dashboard. Beyond Clark's personal hunger for greatness, the WNBA this year is as competitive as ever. Teams like the New York Liberty are playing some of the best offense in league history. The Minnesota Lynx remain a tactical threat. And veteran squads like Las Vegas and Phoenix are surging at just the right time. If Indiana hopes to compete in that environment, safe and stale simply won't cut it. Yes, motion offense can work for the right personnel. But this team isn't built for equal opportunity basketball. It's built for superstar basketball. Clark isn't a cog, she's the engine. She can single-handedly flip a game's momentum with one cross-court dime or logo three. So why limit her to a slow drip, team-wide scheme? The bigger problem isn't just execution, it's identity. Does Indiana want to win by maximizing their generational asset? Or are they content to let Clark be muted in favor of a coaching philosophy stuck in a bygone era? The rest of the country is watching, and it's like watching a crash in slow motion. Dunn's recent statement, while subtle, revealed that the biggest battle isn't happening on the hardwood. It's happening behind closed doors, where the front office and coaching staff are clearly no longer in sync. This isn't a disagreement about lineups, it's a tug-of-war over who controls the vision.
Turning against Steph. I turned against Steph in game 1. Sorry, not even game 1, game 2. Game 2. I turned against Steph.
What's really throwing gasoline on this fire is Stephanie White's coaching background. The same system she's trying to install in Indiana? It worked well in Connecticut, but there's a massive difference. That Sun team didn't have Caitlin Clark. They weren't built around a once-in-a-generation offensive phenom. White is trying to copy-paste a system designed for balance and apply it to a team that should be built around explosiveness. It's like a Michelin star chef using Wagyu beef to make college cafeteria ramen. You're wasting elite ingredients on a recipe that doesn't deserve them. Sure, motion offense sounds great in theory, everyone touches the ball, everyone contributes, it's team-first basketball. But the league doesn't hand out trophies for participation. Basketball isn't fair, and it's never been fair. It rewards excellence. And when you have a player as dynamic and transcendent as Clark, you don't equalize, you elevate. At Iowa, she flourished because the offense was built around her instincts, vision, and leadership. She averaged 28 points and over 8 assists per game, not by accident, but because she was empowered to be the engine. Indiana's current approach, however, reduces her to a background player, just another screen setter and ball mover, instead of the offensive orchestrator she's proven to be. It's not just backwards, it's borderline negligent. And that's why Lin Dunn's public post hits with such force. Because at the heart of it all is a deeper question: are the Fever building around a superstar, or are they systematically wasting the most important draft pick in franchise history?
I legitimately just cannot believe this is going on. We're turning into the Chicago Sky. Why are we turning into the Chicago Sky? We're turning into this is just it's becoming dysfunctional. You're now seeing all these memes with Christy Sides and Caitlin, how Stephanie White's offense treating you. And I mean this when I say it, it's pretty damn bad. Pretty damn bad when it comes to Caitlin.
Now think about the path Caitlin Clark was supposed to be on: an electrifying rookie season leading straight into MVP contention, a smooth evolution from phenomenon to franchise cornerstone. Instead, she's been trapped inside a rigid offensive system that completely clashes with her strengths, forcing her to play a game that isn't hers. And the result? It's not just limiting Clark, it's stalling the entire team. The proof is in the numbers. When Clark has the ball in her hands, Indiana's offense catches fire. When she's sidelined or relegated to a secondary role, it sputters and dies. It's maddening to witness, especially when we've already seen what happens when she's allowed to take control. Look no further than that Liberty game, when Stephanie White finally let go in the fourth quarter and gave Clark the green light. She erupted for 32 points and completely flipped the scoreboard. That wasn't luck. That was unleashed potential. That was what happens when you stop dimming a star and let her blaze. But then came the DeJounte Carrington and DeWanna Bonner debacle, which exposed just how brittle the Fever's system really is. Bonner didn't leave because of a lack of talent or chemistry, she left because the offense couldn't adapt. In a rigid scheme dependent on predetermined movement, losing one piece, especially a veteran like Bonner, creates a chasm that can't be filled. That kind of system collapses when any part malfunctions. Contrast that with a Clark-centric offense. If you lose a player, Caitlin still controls tempo, still creates mismatches, still generates points. That's the beauty of resilience, when your system breathes instead of breaks. And that's where Lin Dunn's now infamous remark about "don't expect what you don't drill" cuts deeper. It wasn't just technical criticism, it was a philosophical dagger. You have a front office that clearly envisions Clark as the nucleus of a modern, talent-based offense. Yet the head coach installs a system better suited for college ball or structured teams with no alpha. What you get is a tug-of-war between vision and implementation, and caught in the middle, pulled from both ends, is the player they're supposed to be building around. And when Clark went down with an early season injury, it wasn't just a temporary blow, it was a full-blown stress test. In those 5 games without her, Indiana's offensive rating didn't just dip, it cratered to a jaw-dropping 82.2. Not because Clark is some invincible savior, but because the offense itself was never built to function without perfect conditions. That's the flaw. An elite offense doesn't need everyone to be synchronized robots, it needs adaptability, freedom, and a leader like Clark steering the ship. The truth is simple, motion offense, as currently constructed, demands elite spacing, high IQ reads from every single player, and clockwork execution. That's not how you build around a singular generational guard. That's how you build around parity. So when you ask someone like Clark to conform, to operate within narrow margins and robotic patterns, you're not coaching her. You're confining her. And there's only one direction that leads, down. So now what? Does Stephanie White have the humility and foresight to tear up the current playbook and start fresh, one that orbits entirely around Clark's playmaking brilliance? Will the front office take control and steer this sinking ship back toward purpose before permanent damage is done? Or will they dig in, double down, and continue to waste one of the most gifted players the league has ever seen? Because make no mistake, other teams are watching. GMs are making mental notes. Coaches are sketching out dream rotations in case Indiana fumbles this opportunity. Clark's contract may be locked in, but trust? Respect? That's rapidly evaporating. Let's not forget, Clark isn't just another player. She's the kind you rebuild blueprints for. She isn't a cog in a machine, she is the engine. And if you're smart, you don't squeeze her into your system. You pave the road she'll drive down. You don't ask greatness to adjust, you build the entire framework around her excellence. With Lin Dunn's words still echoing through the franchise, the ball is in Indiana's court, literally and figuratively. The question now is whether White and the Fever brass will move quickly and decisively, or whether they'll let pride poison progress. Because stagnation? That's not neutral. It's fatal. The clock is ticking. Every bad possession, every flat offensive stretch, every loss is another reminder that something has to change. And fans? They see it. They feel it. They're watching with passion, frustration, and increasingly, a lack of patience. So what do you think, should Coach Stephanie White be fired, or does she deserve more time to turn things around? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next update. Click the video on screen, we'll see you there.